Go to work, go to work. How are you?
Doing fine. I'm doing fine. Go to work. As always, work.
That's funny. It seems like you just land on a new planet or something when you enter here on Anchor. That's so funny.
Yep.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yes, amen. And I'm here. I hear that you have another. You are embarking in such a wonderful opportunity to help many more people. Would you like to share right off the top?
Well, the the Western Regional Director of the National Action Network has appointed me to be the Mental Health Committee director, dealing with racial abuse and injustice. And, the Western region encompasses about 12 states, from Idaho all the way to Oregon, picking up Colorado and Las Vegas and all of these different states. It's an amazing honor, and it just continues with the fight to
Mm-hmm.
deal with mental health abuse and the psychiatric drugging and electroshocking of people.
Right. Absolutely. And so, with that in mind, will you be traveling to all these different states, or are you still working online on Zoom?
Right now, we'll be working on Zoom, but after it opens up, then it will be available to do uh, the traveling as necessary. But I think most of us are learning the new way, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that you can do things through Zoom, and you can save the cost of money. You can be much more efficient without ever leaving your home. And
That's true.
I think there'll be occasions and rallies and things like that where you have to be there in person. But most of the business, I think, now is Zoom.
That's true. And definitely it helps with the emissions in the air from different cars. And definitely, yes, it saves on paper due to usually pass out papers like brochures and so forth when you're in person. So definitely it is a benefit for being online, absolutely, and conducting business. Oh my goodness. Like if you weren't already worldwide with travel, having traveled so much with CCHR, now you're the western the western region. That is huge. That's serious. That's on a weekly basis that you will communicate with all the different places,
Well,
states.
right now in the beginning, it'll probably be on a monthly basis, and then it will increase as
Mm-hmm.
needed. The most important thing is to be able to get people information, uh,
Mm-hmm.
to add on to the national task force that we're doing, um, to fight against these abuses and to create the awareness necessary so that
Mm-hmm.
people can seek, the most beneficial treatment for themselves. Right now, we tend to just believe our doctors, and we don't understand that the field of mental health is somewhat based on making people patients for life. And as we discussed last week, they've apologized for the systemic racism to Black people and people of color. But if you continue to do the same treatments, then shall we take the apology serious? So I think that, part of this whole thing is making sure that people understand their rights. And then their choice is their choice. If a person checks themselves into a mental hospital because they think that is the best for their care, I'm not in opposition to that. CCHR is not in the opposition to that. But we just want them to have the facts so that when they make up their mind on their treatments and their interaction with mental health, they can uh, operate from a informed position.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, with that in mind, you did tap on it, but CCHR task force. Tell. tell people more about what's happening now with the task force.
Well, the task force has grown to about 85 people across the nation. We are selecting leaders and people who really care about this issue of mental health, those who are a little bit willing to challenge the system, to be able to get the answers to questions. We provide information. We're looking for podcasts, radio shows, television shows, means of getting out this information. We're willing to debate psychiatrists on this issue. I'm the one that does that, but the wealth of information that I have has made it where they have not debated me now in about 12 years. And when they did decide to debate me in Africa, I guess once they found out who I was, they decided that it was in their best interest to cancel the television show that we were going to meet on.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Now that comes from, it's a possibility that there was going to be what they call fake news that was going to be presented, so they didn't want to meet the truth.
Well, exactly, because I was on a program yesterday, and the guy had a doctor on the show. I didn't know the doctor was going to be there, so he asked the doctor about what I was saying, and the doctor actually agreed and said, what is wrong with our society now is we're trying to fix everything quickly. We're doing a quick fix, drug all thing when that is not necessary. And so that's all my position is that these drugs do more harm. As the host said, he said, wait a minute, suicidal tendencies? And I told him, but also homicidal. And when you look at Sandy Hook, when you look at Columbine, when you look at Las Vegas, what happened there, when you look at the Colorado movie theater, Dallas, Texas shooting police and at civilian, those people are on those psychiatric drugs.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and that's takes me, I want to make a connection to, people talk about different situations in communities, like we have black on black crime, we have gang banging, we have disrespect taking place from generation to generation, and maybe some of the people are not on medication, yet they know people that's on medication. And then we have people that don't know they should be on some type of medication, because they are going from 0 to 1,000 every instance they get. And then that's where we seem to have a volatile we have volatile communities, and people having so many episodes of why is there not enough peace? Yet there's some. Then I want to say this too, that there are some people that we don't know that are on medication, and then that caused this whole convoluted situation. And then we don't want to label anybody where they're walking around with a certain type of necklace or something that says I'm what did they call it, bipolar, or where the people went to the military and then they came back and then they have what is it, PSD or they call it
PTSD. But see, the thing is this: we run around and we're drugging our soldiers to the point that they're committing suicide on these drugs from 20 to 22 a day. Okay, the drugs are doing that. Second of all, we get this. See, when you do stuff and you're not basing it on facts, soldiers come out of war, out of the service, they're handed a bag. Many of them aren't even being diagnosed. They're just giving them a bag of drugs. This is coming from the soldiers. So if there's a lie told, they told it. I'm putting this on them. But why do we have so much PTSD when we're not even at war? So you're talking about something that was supposed to be wartime effects.
Right, because some of them, they didn't even go to war. That absolutely, they may have been in the military, but they never went to one war.
Yeah. So what, they're not dealing with the deck. So when they come out, I know of a couple. This was a couple. They both had been in the military. They had nothing wrong with them. They were giving a diagnosis. No, they weren't giving a diagnosis, but they were given the drugs and told to take. They took their kid to school, came home, each one took a pill, and they didn't wake up to the next day.
My God.
They didn't pick the kids up from school. If it wasn't for an emergency number, they would have been put in Children and Family Services. People would have said, well, why are you taking these drugs? Which then adds to the fact, maybe it's a danger for you to have your kids because you're on these psychotropic drugs. There's a whole litany of things that come with that. And I'm just saying that, first of all, let us call for an investigation. That's what the NAACP, Inglewood, South Bay, and the Los Angeles chapter of the National Action Network, two civil rights organizations, which are in the African American community in the top 5 that is fighting for the rights of Black people. And we're going to be calling for investigations into the effectiveness of these drugs and electric shock. The reason it's not being done because they know they can't pass the smell test. So they avoid it. But what could be wrong with a child that we would give them a drug that could cause them to kill themselves?
Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's where we need to talk about communication. Remind people about how important, how imperative communication, dialogue, consistency, constant, review or interviews of the people that we work with, or the people that we rear, our children, the people in the community, actually speaking to the male person and the people at the local store or what have you. The communication is where we can get the strength and help to rectify what's taking place, instead of people being in isolation and running to someone that's just going to make money. They have no connection to the person.
Exactly. And my thing is that when we talked last week, we talked about the apology that the American Psychological Association was gave to the Black community and the people of color. As I pointed out at the time, I'm not accepting it, because if you truly meant the Black community and people of color well, you would stop abusive electric shock treatment and the mass drugging of the children.
Right. Absolutely. Why are they still doing that? Exactly.
But see, the reason the apology is not sincere. It's just that on minorities, they can't make the money that they want on those groups. So they're coming with apology. First, they came with the remove the stigma, and and then they're coming with the apology. So then we all, oh, they're sorry, we can trust them.
Right. No, that's like we were talking about. Yeah, that's a form of abuse.
Exactly.
Well, playing the game. Absolutely. So at this time frame, like, we try to make it a lot of we make it a quick show, at the same time impactful and resourceful. So I want to share also CCHR.int, or is it, wait a minute, it's CCHRINT.org.
.org.
Yeah.
And then they can reach me at the CCHR Task Force And then if they want to communicate, if they want to be a part of the task force against racism and modern day eugenics, then they can email me at fshawjr@yahoo.com. And a lot of people have been reaching me. They go to my regular website and then find numbers and then reach me. So
Okay.
yeah, so Fred Shaw Jr., you can just Google that, come up with it. You'll see my humanitarian work, all of that, and we can go from there.
Nice, absolutely. And then also, I just want to share that congratulations on your new appointment. And at the same time, we shall hear an update or what's taking place maybe next week, or would it be like by the end of next month?
We'll check back in on it by the end of next month, but I'll do updates on the progress and things.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Well, once again, it's always so great, so informative when I talk with the one and only Reverend Fred Shaw. Thank you so very much for coming on to the Go to Work Radio Show once again. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Go to work, go to work, go to work.
All right, go to work.